Okay. Well, look, I did. I thought our guys fought and scrapped tonight. We knew that was going to be tough. I mean, that team's tuning up for the playoffs. They've been one of the best teams, if not the best team, for most of the season. But I thought our guys played hard. We just got outmatched in tonight's game. But again, a lot of like we talked about pregame. Very pleased with the development and the growth of our guys this year, and it's going to be a big off season. It's going to be an exciting off season. We're excited about next year.
First question, Sean Cunningham.
Hey, Luke, I know because this is the season finale, I'm just wondering if the kind of the tone in the locker room, the message to the team afterwards was any different, or is it different because you have exit interviews and you'll kind of do it individually?
Well, it's different because we're not spending a lot of time talking about tonight's game. It was, the message was more along the lines of, we'll be in contact with everybody. We'll do all those individual talks, but just a general message of how important this offseason is going to be. One, from a health standpoint, there's still a pandemic going around. And two, from a skill and a skill development and a togetherness, that we're looking to continue to create. So it was more of that general, and we'll get into more details with guys in individual settings.
Marshall Harris.
Hey, Luke, I know injuries played a big part in the season overall. As you mentioned, the pandemic, there's a lot of factors. It's a different season, not unlike last season even. What do you think the chances are that you can get back to some type of a normal season next season? Or I guess I'm saying more off season and getting prepared for next season compared to what it's been like for the last year and a half.
Well, sorry, you were breaking up there a little bit, but I think you were asking what I think of. Will next season be more of what we're used to? Yeah, so sure. I believe so. I really do. I think we're starting to see the fans back in the building, which is incredible. I think even as these playoff games start to happen, you'll even see more fans depending on what city you're watching. And I do believe that by next season, at some point, it's going to look a lot more like what we have done throughout the history of the NBA, as opposed to this last year. So that's my personal belief. I don't know that, but that's where I think we're headed again, is back to more of the normal schedule with fans in the building.
Jason Jones.
Hey, Luke, I know you touched back in Memphis about you and the staff and kind of going into the offseason, how things can be different because you'll all have a better feel for just the guys you have. Just what's that process like for you as a head coach when you're at the end of exit interviews? Do you sit down with the staff as a whole? Do you guys break up? Just how do you guys go about that process?
Yeah, we met today. Again, even that has been a challenge, right? We talk about, we're living in a pandemic. So as people travel, you want to limit, or at least we want to limit our travel as much as possible. So we met today as a staff before the game and really kind of talked about a lot of those things. And then like the players, all meet individually with each of them. And then we'll meet again, we'll meet as the summer goes. Again, we'll have smaller groups, we'll have player development meetings, we'll have defensive meetings, offensive meetings, and certain people will be in those, according to what we're meeting about. So, that's not much different than with some of the players. That we start to build our planning for next season. Really, now it started today with that first meeting. So we got a lot of work to do.
Tony Harvey.
Coach Walton, I think we talked to De'Aaron about this about a month ago, but just the overall setting of how the NBA was able to make this happen for you guys. I mean, you guys all got jobs, you're doing well, obviously, but just what's your overall overarching assessment of how the league was able to hold this thing together, dating all the way back to the bubble?
Yeah, the NBA has been incredible. They have. It's been. I said pregame. It's, for us to get through. If you want to include the bubble, you're absolutely right. Like we're playing traveling the country, and for the most part, at a pretty high level. I mean, I think you saw a lot more sloppy play this year. There is a lot more blowout games, but it was still being played at a high level, and it was a lot of fun. So I give the NBA a ton of credit for getting this thing, pulling this thing together, and getting us to a season.
Jason Anderson.
Hey, Luke, you talked before the game about some of the things you were pleased with this year, development of certain guys and things. I'm wondering, is there an area that you look at where you just didn't come far enough, didn't get enough done that you want to address and make a focal point as you move forward?
Yeah, I think for us on that, defense is where we make that biggest jump to more consistent basketball, where you look at those those good stretches we went on. We were playing some pretty good defense, and you look at the bad stretches, and we were giving up insane amount of points. So for me, that's top priority. Is defense. I even mentioned it in this last meeting, this last meeting to the team right here as a group, how important that is for us. So that would be my top priority. I mean, for the most part, we had a top 10 offensive scoring, offensive rating. And we dropped off towards the end as we lost some of our major pieces, but I think offensively we'll be fine. We got to get better defensively.
And when you look at kind of your shortcomings on defense, like I think back early in the year, there was a big emphasis on switching everything and just trying. It seemed like you were trying to do certain things. Were there just physical limitations where there were just certain things this roster maybe wasn't necessarily built for at this point?
Well, I think part of what we're trying to do, we're clearly trying to do what's going to give us the best chance of winning now. But we're also trying to build for the future. And you look at different guys and some of the potential length we had, especially when we have Marvin and Rashawn and that type of 4-5 combo. Harrison has been around for a long time, so he can do either. He can do switching or coverage, but there's no practice time. So I've said all season, like part of it is like we have to get reps at switching and get better. How else are we going to get better at it? Even if that's not, if we're getting hurt on it now, we have to get better at that because there's going to, that's where a lot of the league is going to at times. So part of it, for sure, there's, we had small, smaller groups out there. And part of it is we just have to continue to understand what we're trying to take away, what we're trying to give up, and really defensive rebound. Like we have to be able to finish possessions with our defensive rebounding, and that's 5 guys coming in and doing that. So a little bit of both, Jason.
Back to Sean.
Hey, look, I was just curious about, the way you look at the team. Is it hard to evaluate the season when you have, you mentioned defense, for example, how that jumps off the page and things you guys want to address. But when you do evaluations, because you guys did experience great runs and then really terrible runs to the other side, how difficult is that to evaluate when you kind of sit down and go through this offseason?
Yeah. Well, I think for me at least, so that's why it'll be easier to answer these questions down the road because I'll sit down and watch every one of these games again. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of these games again and see what we were looking like. What we were doing differently in those winning streaks as opposed to the losing streaks, and do some evaluating from just really kind of rewatching the season again. And but as far as it being difficult, no, we got a lot of time in with our guys. I think we understand where we need to make a lot of progress and how we're going to do that. And that's what this offseason is about. And whether that's through player development, free agency, or draft, these are the things we have to really look to get better at. And that'll be a plan that we put together.